Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Judy's Creations in Crochet. The date doesn't matter today because I'm going to be doing something just a little bit different. For those of you that watch me regularly, you'll see I'm wearing the same thing I wore in my last video. As I kind of explained in my regular weekly video, there is a survey going out amongst the crocheters, I think knitters, anybody involved in the yarn community. They get this survey, they fill it out, and then they tag somebody and they fill it out, and it keeps going. I've seen actually Crystal from Bag a Day has filled it out, and Craig from Fiber Spider has answered the questions. And just this morning, I saw Mikey from the Crochet Crowd responding to these questions. And I got this from Gary at Urban Yarn. I think I've seen maybe one or two others do it as well. Not everybody likes to respond, but I wasn't actually officially tagged on just a tiny little channel, and most of the channels wouldn't think to tag me. But when I was watching Gary at Urban Yarn, he said that he was kind of late to the game, so he didn't know who'd been tagged and who wasn't, and he didn't know who to tag, so he actually threw out a challenge to anybody in the Yarny community that was interested in filling out this survey to go ahead and do it. So I thought this would be a way I could fill in for the week that I'm going to be taking off while I go and muck out in my garden. And I also thought it would be a small way that my followers could maybe learn a little bit more about me. Now, you're not going to learn a lot of important things. These are pretty surface questions, but it may help in my explanation. Will tell you something about me. So this is called 23 yarny, no, I keep saying that wrong. It's 23 non-yarny things about me. Well, first of all, this was not in the survey, but I'm going to tell you this. The fact that it's 23 facts hit me right away, because those that know me well know that 23 is my number. So I thought this should be my survey. My birthday's on the 23rd, as you know if you follow me from the beginning, but lots of other things have happened to me on the 23rd as well. So I'm going to start. I'm going to refer over here as I go to this list of things, and basically they're asking, what is your favorite blank? So the first one, very easy. What is your favorite color? I don't even have to answer that for my followers. You would know it's a real toss-up between blue and purple. Everything blue and purple for me. Next one is, what is your favorite genre of music? This is a hard question for me. Again, those that know me realize or know that I have been involved in music in one way or another my entire life, from about the time I was 5. And it's music of all sorts, not just one facet of music. I'm not going to go into big long stories about the things I have done in the music world. Just know that I have always been involved in music somehow. From Broadway show tunes, those are some of my favorites, Broadway show tunes, to some Christian or gospel music. I love that. I also like country and western music. So picking my favorite genre, I don't think I have. If there are some I don't like, but I like a wide variety of music. And if I had to pick the favorite, it might be Broadway tunes, but I don't know. I have a lot of favorite songs that are not in that genre. So I'm just going to say it's kind of wide. I've given you some of the ones that I like. My favorite food. I'm not sure what they're asking for. Do they mean a category of food like Chinese food or Italian food? I love both of those. Or do they mean one specific thing that I absolutely love? Well, I will tell you, there is one thing that I absolutely love. Can't eat it too often, and that is Score Blizzards from the Dairy Queen. That's my favorite of anything, but my favorite type of food would either be Chinese food or Italian food, I think. I like plain home cooked meals too. What's my favorite, soda or pop? Ginger ale, and it has to be Canada Dry ginger ale. Remember, I'm Canadian, so Canada Dry ginger ale would be my favorite pop. What's my favorite animal? It's kind of a toss up between dogs and cats. Growing up, we had a dog, but for the last 30 years, I've had cats, and I have cats right now. So I guess I would say cats. At one time, they called me the cat lady. What's my favorite holiday? Oh, well, it has to be Christmas. I love everything about Christmas. I love the music of Christmas. I love the feeling of joy and giving and family. And I picture nothing better than sitting around a fireplace with a fire crackling. And yes, the presents are fun. And at one time, I absolutely loved to decorate. I don't so much anymore. But Christmas would have to be my favorite holiday. What is my favorite book? Now, this is kind of difficult as well. I am an avid reader, have been since, very early grades in school when they used to take us out to the bookmobile every week to get some books. But I have I read a lot every day. And I have two favorite authors, one in the secular community and one in the Christian fiction genre. My favorite that a lot of you would maybe know is Debbie Macumber. I've read everything she's ever written, and as soon as the new one comes out, I have to get it. So she wrote a series that was called the Blossom Street series. She's written several series. The Blossom Street series. And the first book in that series was a woman who loved books and read, but who owned her own wool shop. And I really related to her when that came out because I had my own crochet shop. But in that Blossom Street series, she wrote one book called 21 Wishes. And I really, really liked that book. I think I will go back and reread it. I don't generally reread books, there's too many out there to reread. But that's one, and it's sort of like the movie Bucket List. It's sort of the same idea, but not quite. So I loved that series and those two books in the series. And in the Christian fiction area, my favorite author is Karen Kingsbury. That woman has a God-given talent. She is an amazing writer. And again, I read everything she's ever written, and I can't wait for the next book to come out. And the one series that I think I liked the best was what was called her Redemption series. And it was a set of 5. It dealt with a family, the Baxter family, which they've made movies, and they're making a regular TV series out of it. And it's built on the Baxters, and that series each book was about one of the 5 children in the Baxter family, and I loved that set along with lots of others. But at one time, I would have told you that my very favorite book was Black Beauty. But that is a child's book. I still think it's a wonderful book, but, that was my favorite when I was growing up. Okay, favorite pizza topping. Well, when I order pizza, it usually has mushrooms, bacon, and ground beef on it. So, which of those is my favorite? I guess I'm going to say mushrooms. I think I really, that's my favorite topping, although I like the other two almost equally as much. What is my favorite pastime? Now, remember, these are non-yarny favorites because my favorite pastime would be crocheting. That's what I do all of the time. Um, I guess my next favorite pastime would be reading, but I have to tell you that I don't read anymore because I hate to not get lots of things accomplished. I'm a multitasker. So when I'm busy crocheting, I'm listening to audiobooks. um, I can't just not accomplish something. So sitting and reading now is like, but I could be getting something made. So although reading was always a favorite pastime, always my whole life, I now listen to audiobooks and I do that while I'm crocheting. So what's another favorite pastime? Well, at one time I was a big cross stitcher. I don't do much of it anymore. Another thing I really like to do is jigsaw puzzles. So I think that would be my favorite pastime now. Favorite TV series. Sorry to disappoint you people, but I don't watch TV. Um, if if I have free time, I want to crochet, and if I couldn't crochet, I'd be reading. So watching TV is not on my list of activities. At one time when I did watch TV, and I don't think you call these series, I really enjoy things like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Family Feud. I like the game shows, but I've never gotten into any, even back in the days when I watched much more TV. I did watch TV at one time, I just don't now. I never got into any series as such. Um, Trying to now, mind you, back in the day when I was a teenager and through university and my early years working, I was an avid um, I used to watch the soaps, and I had one soap in particular that I taped every day while I was at work, and I watched it, but it's no longer on. So I'm not a TV watcher. What's my favorite fruit? Hands down, my favorite fruit is cherries, and that is followed closely. I love fruit in general. I really love fruit, most kinds of fruit. Cherries, though, and I have lots of memories around, family memories around cherries. And the second favorite would be, I think they're called Concord grapes, but they are the purple grapes that come out here in September. I absolutely love those grapes too. You only get them for a month at the most. And cherries have a very short season as well, but now we get them from the west coast, and in the south we get them for a little bit longer period. So my favorite fruit, cherries. My favorite vegetable, on the other hand, I don't like vegetables. I don't eat very many vegetables, but if I had to tell you a favorite vegetable, I think I would have to name, I would say potatoes, because I love mashed potatoes, I love scalloped potatoes, I love baked potatoes, I love French fries and potato chips. So I love potatoes in all its forms pretty much. So I'd have to say potatoes, although there is again a second place that's very close, and that is corn on the cob. Now, mind you, the corn on the cob has to be local. I live in an area, I live in Kent County, bordered by Essex County, and those two counties have by far and wide the best corn on the cob in the world. I've had corn on the cob other places, and they do not measure up. And I love corn on the cob. I can make a meal out of that. So that's a vegetable people typically think of is corn, not potatoes. But I have to say potatoes still would be number one because I could eat them every day all year. I don't, but I could. All right, next. Favorite subject is in school. There's no discussion about that. My favorite subject and my best subject was always math. Nothing else came near. Favorite actor, actress. Well, I don't keep up on the most current of movies. My favorite actor, I think, would be maybe Dustin Hoffman or Tom Hanks. I think those two are really talented actors, and I have watched many movies with them. There are a few others that I really like as well. Richard Gere and George Clooney, and I guess we could go back into the past, but Dustin Hoffman and Tom Hanks, I think, made some amazing videos. And actress, kind of tied between Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts, although Sally Field, who is farther back, Sally Field would come up there too. Really great actresses. And I mean, Sandra and Julia are still making movies, and sometimes I get out to see what's current from them. Favorite singer? Well, having always been involved in music, I can't just say one. Well, if I have to put one at the top, it's got to be Elvis. I was always an Elvis fan. I remember still in elementary school getting an Elvis album. Remember the old LPs, 33 and a third? I'm dating myself, I know, but on Saturday mornings when I was doing a little bit of housework for Mom, I'd have that Elvis album. I had one, and I played it over and over again. Don't Be Cruel and Just Want to Be Your Teddy Bear, and some of those. Elvis would be my favorite. But I really like a number of others. I really like Barbra Streisand. I'm a follower of Michael Bublé. And if I were picking a group, I really like Home Free. I love their sound and how they do that a cappella. So those are a few of the singers I really enjoy. But again, there are quite a few. I listen to a wide variety of things. Singer, superhero. I'm afraid I can't name a superhero. I don't watch that kind of movie. I never read comics. My brother was into the comic books, so I can't say. If I had to pick one, I'd say Superwoman, I guess, just because she's a female, but I don't really follow superheroes. And my favorite comedian, I don't follow comedians either. If I had to name one today, and she used to do the circuit, and then she had her own show, and she's now, her own show came to an end recently. She might go back on the circuit, and that would be Ellen DeGeneres. I really like her, not because she's a great comedian, but not because she's the best comedian in the world, but because of who she is, her personality. She's very kind and giving and caring. But a comedian that we would know, at one time I used to really like Billy Crystal. I'm dating myself again, but I don't follow comedians, stand-up comedy. I just not into that kind of thing. My favorite season has always been the fall. Why? Well, fall always signified going back to school, which I always look forward to. Not that I was the best student in the world, but I always, for some reason, my life revolved around the school calendar my whole life. So going back to school was big. And I love, well, you know why I like the fall the best. That's when my birthday is, of course. But I love the fall colors, and I like the relief from the heat of the summer. I like the summer, despite the fact that we get some very hot, humid weather in this area, and I'm not fond of that hot, humid weather. I love the summer, but the fall is better. You get the in-between temperatures if we get a nice fall. But the colors of fall, I love the changing colors of the trees, and I don't know, the relief from the heat of the summer. And I always wish the fall would last forever because I'm not a fan of winter at all. And I love, how the season changes, and we have September that's still somewhat warm if we're lucky, like the summer, and then we have Thanksgiving here in Canada in early October, and then all the pumpkins and everything for Halloween. It's just, I think, a beautiful season. And what's my favorite movie? Well, this is difficult too, and maybe I'll surprise you. First of all, there are a number of musicals that are movies, and I really like Sound of Music, and I won't say why, but that's a very favorite of mine. I really enjoy it. I'm sure everybody's watched it many times. Um, I really, really liked Steel Magnolias. Some great actresses in that movie, an all-star studded cast with a couple of my favorites, Julia Roberts and Sally Field. Although every single one of those women is a remarkable actress, and Steel Magnolias was a wonderful, wonderful movie. Another one, I don't know if I'd say favorite, but I must have watched it 4 or 5 times, was called All the President's Men. I had a copy of it and I watched it. I think I watched it so often because, you don't get everything in Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, great actors. I really enjoy both of them. And I really wanted, and it was a real event in history. Watergate is what it's about. And I watched it to pick up more every single time. So that's another favorite that I've watched multiple times was The Way We Were. The Way We Were with Robert Redford, who I absolutely adore, and Barbara Streisand, who I think is wonderful. Great voice. She's not known as an actress, but she does great job, and I love her voice. So those are some of the movies I really like. If I had to put one as my favorite, it might be Steel Magnolias for the depth of that movie. Smell. Well, I would say my favorite smell is vanilla. Whenever I get hand cream or body lotion or whatever, I like it to be vanilla or what they call warm vanilla. I don't like overpowering scents. I don't wear perfume because too many people have problems with scents. So I love the smell of vanilla. I think it's just a really nice, pleasant, low-key smell. Although I love the smell of lilacs. I have some lilac bushes, and in about a month's time, I'll be able to sit on my patio and smell the lilacs wafting around the corner onto the patio. And I love the smell of the lilacs themselves and the memories it brings back, because when I was a kid at home, we had a lilac tree, mine are bushes, but we had a lilac tree in the backyard, and we would cut branches off and put them in a vase and set them on the piano, and I could smell them as I was sitting practicing my piano. So lilacs evoke great memories of those growing up days, but I think my favorite is vanilla. It smells like baking, and I love to bake, so there's a non-yarny fact that they don't ask about. Okay, best friend. My best friend is Rose. I don't have to say a lot about that. We crochet together and do lots of things together. Best decade. How does anybody pick a best decade when they get to my age? I've lived through a lot of decades, and I think they all have their good and bad points. I don't know whether to pick it based on what was going on in the world at the time or what was going on in my life at the time. But the best time of my life was retirement. And I retired in 2006. So I guess I'd have to say that was the best decade. And the next decade following it, I don't know about the 20s. 2020s hasn't been a great decade for anybody because of the pandemic. But, I mean, I was a kid in the 60s, and that was a great time. I don't know how to pick a favorite decade other than what I told you. And the very last question, favorite YouTube channel. Now, this has to be non-yarny. And I mostly watch yarn channels, crochet channels. I didn't get into YouTube until I started watching crochet channels. So I can't say I watch any other channels. Now, I do watch some other things on YouTube. I sometimes watch Oprah, but that is just rehashing of her show that was on TV. I also watch Dr. Phil. Again, they are his TV brought to YouTube. And lately, I've been watching the Ellen show, Ellen DeGeneres. And again, they're just small clips from her TV show put onto YouTube. And that's what I watch other than yarny channels. I have quite a number of favorite yarny YouTube channels, but I'm not going to say, I don't want to point anybody out. So I don't really watch channels that aren't geared to crochet. So that's the 23 non-yarny things about me. I hope you found it somewhat interesting. I'd be happy to hear your comments on what I had to say. And we're supposed to tag people when we're done. And I doubt that any of the people that I tag will be listening, but I'll say some channels anyway. And if you happen to be on their channel, please tell them I tag them. I think if I put @ in their name below, it'll come out. So I haven't seen Blue Eyed Style do this, so I'll tag her. And I will tag Debbie, the Canadian crocheter. I haven't seen her do it. I'm not sure if she will. And she sometimes watches me. So does Candy at Blue Eyed Style sometimes, but I don't know if they'll be watching this. And I would also like to tag Reggie at J Hook Crochet. I know she does watch my channel sometimes when she has time. But again, I don't know if she would do this kind of survey. But I'm going to put out the tag to those 3 channels. If they happen to catch this, feel free to do it or not do it. That's your choice. So I hope you found this interesting. And I do have to end with saying that until we see each other again, happy hooking.